Hello and welcome to my Preakness recap. My Black-Eyed Susan Preakness double did not work out. Margie's Intention did win the Black-Eyed Susan, but we know that Goal Oriented and American Promise both lost to Preakness. That's fine, I had a good week last week with the Peter Pan Stakes. I had that analysis down almost exactly to how it happened. And then I had the Black-Eyed Susan winner Margie's Intention. So not every race works out. And I'm going to talk about the Beyer Speed Figure, the 98, for journalism, because I've heard some discussion about that. But let's get going and watch the video first, and then we can talk about the Beyer Speed Figure at the end. Okay, they're in the gate for the Preakness. And let's focus on Goal Oriented first. Pratt is asking him to go, and he didn't go. And then once Clever Again crossed over, I think Pratt decided, oh well, we're just going to settle in the pocket. So he stopped trying to ask him at that point, and Clever Again took the lead. And I know Clever Again folded in the stretch, but I have to give him credit. The jockey was riding to win on Clever Again, even though it didn't work out. And he took the lead. Gosker's on the outside. He was playing aggressive too. And the two horses that I thought would be 1-2, Goal Oriented and American Promise, they were 3-4. And so River Thames is on the outside. Who's on the inside? Journalism. And then Sandman is all the way at the back in the gray. 23.19, that is fast for a mile and 3/16. And so Clever Again is on the lead. It's uncontested, but he's going fast, so... The concern I had about Clever Again was that he wasn't seasoned enough for this type of race. Even though his races were impressive, it takes a certain amount of seasoning to compete in a race like this. Although Gosker did do well, and he didn't have a lot of seasoning either. And they're rounding the far turn. Clever Again is still on the lead. Now we're going to see the trouble. Journalism is going to try to move through the inside, and Goal Oriented is right next to him in the two-path. And look at Journalism trying to move through the inside. Goal Oriented is going to try to keep him pinned. Pratt is playing aggressive now. Now he's playing aggressive. And Rispoli has nowhere to go. And you see Goal Oriented lugs in, and Journalism really got squeezed there. That really hampered him, and that took out Clever Again completely. And Gosker was running away with it, and Gosker, it seemed like he was going to close the deal, but Journalism mows him down at the last second, and that is very impressive. For Journalism to have that trouble entering the stretch and still mow down the leader Gosker, who was almost running away with it, that was so impressive. And I think Journalism deserves all the credit in the world for that win. We could watch it one more time. Even without considering the fractions, I think it was a fast pace because most of the speed horses didn't handle it. We know River Thames did not stick around. American Promise, he didn't stick around. And we know that Clever Again folded after the incident. And we're going to look at that incident between Journalism and Goal Oriented again. And we know Sandman's coming from behind the gray horse, and he usually only comes when there's a fast pace. And look at Journalism trying to move through. Goal Oriented, trying to keep him pinned down, and he tries a little too hard. I mean, there could have been something bad that happened there, but thankfully nothing bad happened. We see Sandman on the outside again. The fact that Sandman is making a move right here means it was probably a fast pace. How is Gosker trying to run away with it, though? I think Gosker is just a good horse. He deserves some credit, too. But Journalism, even with that incident, mows him down, and he deserves all the credit in the world. Like I said, Journalism is definitely no, he has to be second best because Sovereignty beat him. So Sovereignty is the best horse in the division. Journalism is second best, but Gosker is moving up. So Gosker does deserve some credit for his second place finish. And I want to talk about the Beyer Speed Figure. Journalism earned a 98 Beyer Speed Figure for his win in the Preakness Stakes. And I've heard some people say that's a slow number, but it makes sense because he was bothered on the turn, or he was interfered with entering the stretch by Goal Oriented. He was boxed in, he was prevented from making his move earlier. Now, Beyer Speed Figures are supposed to be based on final time. I'm not making this up. I've read Picking Winners by Andy Beyer himself, and I cannot explain everything. I'm sure someone who's more knowledgeable in making speed figures can explain every single detail about making speed figures, but they are based on final time. And logically, if a horse has trouble in a race, if he's blocked, if he has another horse try to box him in, like what happened here in the Preakness, then his final time might be affected. And in the case of journalism, it stopped him from coming after Gosker earlier, because he had to wait until he was free and clear of trouble, and that wasn't until, what, mid-stretch, then journalism started to come at Gosker at the last second. But if he didn't have that trouble with goal-oriented on the far turn, he could have attacked Gosker earlier and possibly earned a faster final time. I think without any trouble, journalism would have at least earned something over 100. I think he would have earned something over 100 given the trouble that he had on the far turn. Most handicappers should read Picking Winners by Andy Beyer, just as a base starting point for understanding how Beyer speed figures work. And that would help them understand that there are situations where the final time could be affected and therefore the speed figure could be affected. I could forgive a strange Beyer speed figure if there's an extreme pace or if there's a bad trip. And in this case, journalism had a bad trip. Just ignored the 98 and assumed he could have run something above 100. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the Preakness Stakes and the Beyer speed figure for journalism. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon with some Belmont coverage.